Hi, my name is Fernando Toro, and this is a beginning or introduction to Lightroom 4. First of all, who's Lightroom 4 for? Um, Lightroom is designed for professional photographers and semi-pro photographers. However, it's a software that, although it's very powerful, it's been designed in a special way where it is not terribly difficult to use. It's not like Photoshop. Photoshop is much more involved. Lightroom is approachable. So I put it to you that Lightroom is for anyone who takes pictures and maybe likes having pictures. The reason for that is, for example, if you were gonna make something, whatever, today, how would you do it? You probably wouldn't do it the way that it is done, and there are many examples of this. For example, a keyboard was designed by IBM when they started having keyboards or starting having typing machines. And the reason for that was that if people typed too fast, the machine would get stuck. So they had to invent a keyboard that was as inefficient as possible. And the keyboard, became a norm. And even though today they've designed keyboards that are as efficient as possible, no one uses them. It's become ubiquitous, the keyboard, and that's the way it stayed. Also in companies, many times the operations have stayed the way that, because traditionally that's the way things have been done, and it's not the best way of doing it. Or operating systems. Operating systems sometimes are the way they are because you have to have backwards compatibility, and that creates tremendous problems for companies. So Lightroom is different. Lightroom, even though you had Photoshop and other softwares, with Lightroom, they said, well, how would I design a software for photographers? And they really thought about it, and they designed Lightroom. So it's a great piece of software, and since it's designed for photographers and not just anyone, then it doesn't have a lot of features that we don't need, and it goes to the point, and that makes it not too terribly complicated, although it is very powerful. So I think that anyone who cares enough about pictures would do well to use Lightroom. It's not too expensive. There's a version for $79, and the full version is $149. That's numbers that I have, and by the time you watch this, it might be less, or in a different country it might be different. But so take those numbers with a grain of salt. But it really is something to think about. And part of the reason I say this is that this is the workflow that I've seen from many people who are not photographers, not semi-pro photographers. So they take pictures with a point-and-shoot digital camera, or with their iPhones, or with whatever. And then the next thing they do is they upload it to Facebook. Now, when they upload it to Facebook, they're going to lose a tremendous amount of data because Facebook is not going to keep the full resolution of the picture. Well, that would take a lot of memory, so they chop a lot of the resolution of the picture. They make it smaller. So then in a year, they say, oh, this picture I really like, and it brings me memories. I'd like to print it. And when they want to do that, they've already erased the picture, the original, and now they only have the Facebook copy, and it turns out that it's not good enough quality to print. So if you use something like Lightroom, you would have all these problems resolved. And by the way, Lightroom is also going to upload your photographs to Facebook, Flickr, etc. So in that case, in that sense, it makes things simple. So let's take a little look at how Lightroom works. Lightroom is designed in modules. So each module is going to do something different. And there's a number of things that you want software designed for photographs to do. And just looking at it from, from 50,000 feet, like really, not getting into detail, you want to catalog, organize, search pictures. You want to process the pictures. That means take out the red eye and, all this stuff, you crop the picture, etc. And you want to output the picture. And by output, it could be outputted to Facebook, or output it to a printer, or output it to a web page, or whatever. So all these things are done by Lightroom and much more, and they're done in a very, very nice way and powerful as well. So let's see. First module that we have is the library module. And the library module is not terribly exciting, but it does, a number of things that are indispensable. First thing that it does is import or upload pictures. And when you import or upload, maybe you think upload like you upload a picture to the web and then it's copied to the web, but that's not the way it works with Lightroom. Lightroom actually is going to be like a database, so it's like a library card. That's what in terms that you have a picture, it's in your computer in a folder or in a subfolder. That's where the picture actually is. It's not in Lightroom, and then it simply Lightroom points to that picture or knows where that picture is. And by the way, if you have that picture in Lightroom and then you go to your desktop, to your operating system, and you put it somewhere else, Lightroom is gonna, is not gonna know where it is. So if you're gonna move your image, from one location to another, it'd be better if you do it through Lightroom. Then another thing, there is one instance where Lightroom actually uploads images, and that's, for example, if you have a camera and the camera is connected to your computer, then yes, it's going to read the information from the camera and it's going to copy it, but it's not going to copy it to Lightroom. Obviously, it's going to copy it to your computer, to a certain folder or subfolder. It's going to put it there and it's going to point to it. Then we have catalog. It's going to catalog your images. And by catalog your images, it simply means that you're going to have some information about your images. You're going to know, for example, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, or, it's going to have many ways where you give it information about your picture, and then you have different ways of knowing. You can say all the pictures that have 5 stars, or a little bit like you do with maybe with music libraries, and you say some of the music are rock and some have 3 stars and stuff like that. You can do the same thing with Lightroom. Again, it's more powerful with Lightroom, but it's that same concept. You can also select pictures. It's going to help you select pictures, and by this I mean, imagine you went to the zoo and you took 120 pictures of the rhino because you love that animal. So, and then you only want one to put in your Facebook or to print or whatever. So it's going to help you decide which one of those 120 is the best one. So in terms of that, it also has some features that, again, this is very good for photographers, because maybe if they're taking a picture in a wedding or they're taking maybe a portrait, we take hundreds, maybe thousands of pictures, and then deciding which one of those pictures is the one we're going to keep is it's a challenge. And the other thing is it's going to help you search for images, and it's very powerful the way it does this. There's more than one way of doing it, and we'll get into all this in due time. There's also a concept that I want to present to you right now, which is the concept of presets. Presets is when let's say you're importing images into Lightroom. Well, when you're importing, you probably say, well, when I upload images to Facebook, you don't have to give it any additional information. Maybe, yeah, you don't have to give it any additional information. But when you're importing to Lightroom, there's a ton of information you can give it. So instead of having to give a ton of information each time you're importing, maybe the first time you can give a ton of information and then you can save that as a preset. and you could have many presets. And then next time you're importing, you can say, oh, this time I want to import with this preset or that preset. So presets are all over Lightroom, everywhere, and they save a ton of time. They make things so much easier and faster. So it's important that we understand that concept from now. Another thing you can do with Lightroom is processing images. And by that I mean, well, not processing as such, but let's say cataloging, really. And when we're cataloging images, we do this in the library as well. What it means is we have something akin to a playlist, okay, in your iPhone or iPod. So what you do in a playlist is that you take 20 songs and you copy them to that playlist. And you do exactly the same thing with a collection. You take 20 images and you take them and drop them in your collection. And then you have the images, they're nicely grouped by collection. But there's another type of collection, and this is where it gets more powerful, which are smart collections. And in smart collections, you can say something like, all the images that have 4 stars and that I've given the color green and that were taken with ISO 100 or with a lens which is a zoom from 100 to 400 millimeters, exactly with that lens. Okay, all those images, I want you to put them in this collection. And then it's going to go through all your images, and all the images that have that criteria, that specific criteria, are going to go into that collection. So that smart collection, those smart collections are very, very powerful. Continues in part 2.